Join me on a complete video tour of the Clear Sky Resorts in Williams, Arizona. There'll be some adventures along the way to include the Grand Canyon, looking for rattlesnakes, and very challenging hikes. We drove cross country, so I'll show you some scenery along the way. This is a beautiful sunset in Mississippi. This is going over the Mississippi River. Here are some cotton fields. We eventually made it into the great state of Texas, where we saw endless fields of these giant windmills. Then I was excited to get some good footage of these dust storms that kept happening on the drive through Texas. Pretty cool. Then we made it into the land of enchantment, also known as New Mexico. Then we finally made it to the state that we were headed towards, Arizona. The main reason for going to Arizona was to go to my cousin's wedding, show my wife the Grand Canyon, visit family, stay at the Clear Sky Resorts, and look for rattlesnakes. Here we're on one of the last legs of the trip, going through Flagstaff, Arizona. We finally made it to Williams, Arizona to check into the Clear Sky Resorts. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the dome-like structures that we're going to be staying in. The Clear Sky Resorts are conveniently located just 29 miles from the Grand Canyon. Here's some drone footage showing what the desert terrain looks like surrounding Clear Sky Resorts. Now we're pulling into the main entrance so you guys can really check this place out. So far, I gotta say, I really love the remote location of this resort. You really feel like you're staying in the middle of the desert, but there is a town close by just in case you need anything. The first big dome right here on the right is the dome where you check in. It's also the dome that has the bar and the gift shop. Here, I just stepped into the entrance of the Checkin dome. I'll show you around real quick. Here's some cool baskets and couches that you can wait and lounge on while you're having a drink or waiting for your room. This is like their little convenience store. They have drinks and snacks and all that stuff. Here's their gift shop. They have shirts, hats, sweaters, sunscreen, and these cool little telescopes. Let's head over and check out the food truck where you order food and then you can eat it in the dining hall or wherever you want. Now I'll show you an aerial view of the resort. While wandering around, I discovered that they had giant outdoor chess, cornhole, and frisbee golf. To the left-hand side of the screen, you can see a playground and what looks like a big swimming pool, which is what I thought after I looked at the drone footage to discover when my wife and I were walking to get s'mores. It's a giant inflatable trampoline thingy. It was really fun to bounce on. Before checking into the dome, we headed off to the Grand Canyon to get some cool pictures and videos. It was only about a 30-minute drive to make it to the Grand Canyon. We got there, my wife and I looked for some trails to get some good views. I haven't been here since I was a little kid, so it was really awesome to be back. Wow, look at that view! All jokes aside, seeing the Grand Canyon again as an adult was absolutely breathtaking. It's so stunning, I would say it's definitely worth it to head out there and see it at least once. Just make sure that you stay nice and hydrated because it's so dry out there. Here's some cool footage that I got of this couple that decided to climb out on these ledges. It's pretty sketchy, but it seemed like they had a great time. Then my wife and I snapped a couple more photos and headed back to Clear Sky Resorts. Now it's time to show you guys what the inside of the actual domes themselves look like. There's actually different types of domes you could rent. There's a Star Wars dome, a pink dome. My wife and I got the deluxe dome. Here's our dome with a beautiful desert sky in the background. It also has a hammock, a couple chairs to sit in. Let's go into the front door. When you first walk in, you walk into the main bedroom/living room. This one comes with a loft, which is pretty cool, but let's open up those curtains and check out the view. I really love the chair this room comes with. I'm just going to call it a hangy chair, but I had to take a seat in it and test it out. You can really see how quiet it is out here in the desert. Alright, let's see the rest of the inside of this dome. I'll climb up the loft and show you guys what it looks like up there. Comes with extra beds, which is great if you come with multiple guests. Alright, let's check out the rest of the dome. First, I want to show you guys this cool portrait of desert rocks on the wall. I really like that and think it's a cool touch. Up on the ceiling there is the skylight that will be opening up later. For the kitchenette, they have a mini fridge and a coffee maker. Here's a bathroom sink with a nice welcome message and some towels. Then let's check out the shower and the toilet. I must say everything was very clean and I was impressed. I snapped a drone photo of my wife and I outside of our dome. Then I took a walk in the desert surrounding the resort in search of rattlesnakes. I've always wanted to get really good footage of rattlesnakes in the wild, and here you can see I'm using my really long snake hook to poke around the bushes to see if I hear them rattle. This time I had no such luck, but I snapped this cool photo of the sky. Then it was time for some much needed R&R.
This thing is awesome. Super relaxing.
I laid in this bed basket thingy for quite some time watching the sunset. Wait until you see how beautiful this desert sky is. On one side we have the sunset, and then I turn around and on the other side is the moon. I then snapped a good photo of what the domes look like from the outside. Then my wife and I tried some of the local beers. It's starting to get dark now, so we want to go in and see some live music, maybe get a couple snacks before we go to our dome and look for some stars.
I'll be looking at the county fair, Amarillo by morning, Amarillo I'll be there.
They like these fires at night, so my wife and I went into the main dome and bought some s'more stuff. We're headed back to our dome, but on the way back, I wanted to show you guys the dining dome. It has this really cool wall on the inside of the earth, and you could stick a tack where in the world you're from. As you can see, there have been people here from all over the globe. My wife and I are back at the dome laying in bed, on our backs, and this is us opening the skylight, waiting for it to get dark so we can see awesome stars. There's really no light pollution out here, so on a perfect night you can see all kinds of stars. When we stayed, the moon was very bright and washed out a lot of the stars, but it was still really cool to check out that moon. My personal favorite view is here, the morning view from bed, waking up to this. Here's a couple side adventures of my trip. This is a place called Usery Park. There's a little roadrunner, but I was out here looking for rattlesnakes once again. I was out here for about an hour and a half and it started to get too hot, so I had to stop looking for rattlesnakes once again. But at one point I made it to the top of that ridge. Then my cousin Helen convinced me to go to this place to climb up to this peak we're pointing to called Flatiron. This hike was so awesome, but it took us about 5.5 hours. We had to scale some cliffs, boulder some rocks, and eventually we made it up. And here we're about like halfway, and you can see the peak we're headed towards. We still have a long way to go. We finally made it to the top, and here's a couple shots of what it looks like from being up in the sky. You're pretty much in the clouds and birds are flying right by your head. This hike was challenging but well worth it. I'm glad my cousin convinced me to do it. It was an awesome experience. Here's a couple photos of us at the top. And a shameless Tommy's Reptiles plug. This is what it was like to hike down. A lot of people were saying that hiking down is more difficult, but I found it easier than hiking up. And the cool thing on the way down, my cousin kept spotting these lizards, which was a relief because I finally was able to see some reptiles. We covered a total distance of 5.8 miles, climbed 2,681 feet of elevation, and it was a difficulty of 9 out of 10. My last stop in Arizona before heading home was Dragoon, Arizona, to check out these awesome rock formations with my drone. Thank you for watching Tommy's Reptiles.